Have you ever been so underwhelmed by the end of a story you wanted to love that it left you confused and asking the question, what the hell just happened? Well, look no further, because we have a dead horse to beat. The Companions Guild questline commits major sins in what should have been one of the most badass guild questlines in Elder Scrolls history. They're supposed to be known as this epic, battle-hardened group of warriors who kick ass and chew bubblegum while always being out of bubblegum. Only, that's not how it feels once we're done here. This questline is so rushed and devoid of depth that it has us asking where the rest of it even is, and why was it so underwhelming? This is where the first sin lies. A story should be as long as it needs to be, but it should neither be rushed nor drug out. In fact, let me speedrun this story for you. We essentially arrive in the fields outside of Whiterun, shoot a giant from a quarter mile away, or Ayla will go to hell and back to tell us they killed the giant, no thanks to us, only to be invited to Jorrvaskr, and we're Harbinger of the Companions.
And lead the Companions to further glory.
Did I hear right? Did he say you were to lead the Companions?
That is how fast this goes, unless we procrastinate on completing the questline. Us, level 1 Dragonborn nobodies who have been here for 2 whole days, whose highest title was milk-drinking whelp 5 seconds ago, become the boss faster than it takes a lightweight to get blackout drunk. We eat the souls of dragons and are still nobodies. Hurts like hell, don't it? On the surface, the story really isn't that bad. But once we dig deeper and take in the fact that this questline is basically 6 main quests and a bunch of Garbo Radiant missions, it all boils down into, and then this happens, and then this happens. You're the boss now, the end. There is nothing wrong with the short story, but when everything is rushed for the sake of getting us out of the door, it leads to a less than stellar experience. Now, I don't know about you, but in total playtime, it took me maybe a little over 2 hours to complete the entire questline, and most of that was spent going from point A to B in survival mode. Now, there is nothing wrong with a storyline being short in a game if it offers replayability and alternative playthroughs, except here, there is none. This is the second sin. Want to be a spy for the Silver Hand and possibly betray the Companions as an interesting alternative? Nope, not gonna happen. Want to refuse to spy for the Silver Hand, only to be held hostage, then rescued by your shield brothers, triggering a devastating war leading to massive levels of pain and suffering. Ha ha! Lower your expectations. There's a war, but it sure doesn't feel like one when all we're doing is steamrolling bandits the whole time. The Silver Hand really are just common bandits with silver swords and no central character with zero opportunity to interact with them for some additional choices. They have Krev the Scanner, which at first you might be saying, damn, that dude sounds badass. My dear friend, you are so wrong. We roll him like a sack of potatoes, just like the rest of them. And of course, there is no decision on whether or not you wage your little secret war against the Silver Hand or not, because you know Daddy Codlack wouldn't like that. Maybe that decision not to wage war against the Silver Hand could have led to an interesting event where Jorrvaskr is lost and the Companions lose everything as a result. You know, interesting outcomes that would have taken us to Flavor Town. There are so many interesting ways to expand this questline from its base setup, but there is nothing there other than, hey, do you want to cure yourself of lycanthropy? This fundamental lack of choice takes away the weight of the events in the questline and offers little replayability, which is a shame, and we aren't even talking about the other dismal guild questlines. And of course, the worst sin of all. I don't know about you, but by the time this story was over, I didn't care about any of the characters or events. This is the ultimate sin. We spend so little time with the characters to the point I forgot about half of them by the time we're done. And even when we do interact with each character, most of them here have so little depth, they might as well be red shirts from Star Trek. The main characters we do spend most of our time with are also there for a short period of time and then hardly seen again until the end. Or in the case of 2 of them, they just die. R.I.P. Skjor and Codlack, I guess. And at the end, you're the boss of the Companions and the credits roll. A whole 2 days in, and you get a title that I suppose has no meaning after all. The problem here is a fundamental lack of depth, like someone started writing the story, but then got told to cut half of it. None of the story events ever really have time to sink in either, and it seems as if there is zero consequence to anything that happens. There's also no real opportunity to get to know any of the characters. Sure, there's ambient dialogue, But what about being able to go out on a series of missions with each character, learning their wants, needs, fears, so on and so forth, and building trust with them? After all, shouldn't a guild that centers around the idea of caring about your shield brother and sister beside you require a certain level of trust to be built over time? You know what? Maybe I'm just crazy, but there are just so many missed opportunities here. I really wanted to love the companions, but it's so disappointing to have what should have been one of the most badass guild questlines in all of Skyrim fall flat on its face. There are so many missed opportunities here, and quite frankly, it was something I didn't notice back in the day, but so many questlines are like this. You know what though? It still isn't stopping me from having an amazing time in Skyrim. So if you want to know how it feels coming back to this legendary world after all these years, check out this video right here.